Hello everybody, Raspberry Barrel here, again to read another biography of Mewni. This biography we won by VerifyTheArts, which I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure I've been saying your name wrong this whole time, but it's VerifyTheArts. And the biography we'll be reading today is Andromeda the Intuitive. Please forgive me if I stutter, hesitate, or mispronounce anything, and for any noises in the background. Let's begin. Andromeda the Intuitive. There is more to be explored. She felt it in her heart. So she sent them from shore to sea, said Andromeda the Intuitive. Andromeda Butterfly. Born 85 a.m., died 1:16 a.m., 31 years old. Reign 1:05 a.m. to 11:16 a.m., 11 years. Spouse Domitius Fields. Children, Phea Butterfly. Andromeda Butterfly was born in the late autumn night of 85 a.m. to Crown Princess Cassiopeia Butterfly and Lord Domitius Fields. She was born with hair red like her mother's and her father's deep blue eyes. And an unknown magical mutation in the newborn occurred that had changed Andromeda's hair from red to blue overnight. This was the first case of a magical mutation not caused by puberty. When she was born, her mother, Cassiopeia Butterfly, was still the crown princess of the kingdom, making her second in line to the throne and the first heir to be born not directly from the ruling monarch. At the age of 3 in 88 a.m., Princess Andromeda was the flower girl to her parents' wedding. She would spend the next 6 months in the care of her grandmother, a Miranda Butterfly, while her parents were on their honeymoon. The princess had a very close relationship with her grandmother. In 89 a.m., Andromeda gained a little sister named Light Butterfly, who was born with her father's blue hair and green eyes like the Queen. Andromeda was jealous of the new addition to the family and was clinging to her mother constantly after the birth. The two sisters would constantly challenge each other for the affection of their mother as they grew up. Cassiopeia spent a lot of time with Andromeda practicing magic, while the future queen was not showing the correct magic development for her age. Princess Light would throw fits when she wasn't able to watch, and Cassiopeia would have to stop their lessons to soothe her youngest daughter. Andromeda was constantly irritated with Light's behavior. After a lesson where Light's behavior was particularly disruptive, Cassiopeia took Andromeda out on a walk to the gardens to talk with the future queen. She explained she was very aware of Andromeda's feelings, and she never wanted her to feel uncared for, but she wanted her daughter to understand that Andromeda would one day become queen. However, Light would always be a princess, and as the second born, the kingdom didn't give her the same respect as they have their eldest daughter. Cassiopeia made Andromeda promise her to always look after Light, even if they didn't always get along. The vacation that had started terribly ended wonderfully for the princess, who had now fallen in love with the mystery of expansiveness of the ocean. In 1:01 a.m., at the age of 16, Andromeda received the royal wand. She had pushed her wand ceremony aside past the original age of tradition because she wasn't ready yet. She was the first princess to not take the wand at the age of 14. Her wand was a strange one, in fact. It wasn't a wand at all. Instead, it was a blue handkerchief with gold lace and blue diamonds sewn into it. In 1:02 a.m., Andromeda would start a relationship with Lovell Fisher, a servant that worked at the castle closely to her. He had caught her eyes after and attempted to sneak her flowers, leaving them on the princess's vanity, and Andromeda caught him in the act and was bashful, as this was the first time someone had taken an interest in her romantically. The two of them would banter with each other in the following weeks, and eventually a few of the princess's ladies-in-waitings caught the young man sneaking into the princess's bedchambers at night. Her parents' duties never ended, so Andromeda and Light spend a lot of time with Miranda. In the past, queens, after giving up the crown, had the option to spend the rest of their lives wherever they pleased in the kingdom, but Miranda had continued to living inside the castle with her family and acted as a tutor for her grandchildren, passing her life's worth on knowledge. Miranda taught Andromeda the importance of diplomacy and keeping good relations with the kingdom's allies. Acting as an ambassador for her mother, she would travel to allied kingdoms and build relationships with their future rulers like herself. She became particularly close to Princess Amelia Waterfolk, the future queen of the Waterfolk kingdom. The Waterfolk princess gave Andromeda a conch necklace with magical properties. This gave the user the ability to breathe underwater. It was given to friends and allies of the royal family of the Waterfolk kingdom, was mostly located underwater in multiple cave systems where the humans and monsters would not pass on their own. Andromeda received her crown in 1:05 a.m. per tradition, but it was obvious that Andromeda was not ready to be queen. She had grown more and more interested in her travels and underperformed her tasks. Cassiopeia's concerns grew for her daughter, but Demetrius encouraged his wife to have faith in their daughter. In 1:08 a.m., the relationship between Andromeda and Lovell went to the next step when the two had a private wedding on the family's privately owned ship. Only a handful of servants were on board that day, along with Lovell's family and the living members of the royal family. It wasn't until after the queen of the new kingdom and the new king returned home that the newlywed announced the marriage. A year into their marriage, the royal couple welcomed the first and only child into their world. Crown Princess Fea Butterfly had inherited her father's purple eyes and light brown hair. She had pink cheek marks, and her parents' surprise, she had an extra mark on her left foot. The first weeks of their daughter's life were spent at the newborn's side with her midwife and doctors surrounding her. Fea was so small when she was born that Andromeda was worried she wouldn't make it and was constantly feeding her to make Fea gain weight. She felt so lucky when, after a month of worrying, her daughter's weight finally stopped dropping. Cassiopeia and Andromeda started to bicker at one of the first few years passed, and unfortunately, Andromeda's attitude wasn't changing for the better, and she left many of her queenly duties to her husband and mother. It made Cassiopeia feel regret about passing her crown to her daughter and wonder if her lack of discipline as a child led to this result. During the queen's travels, she discovered new species of fish, and she added to her collection to bring home. She had created the first aquarium known to be, and it was built in her office so she could always have a reminder of the ocean when she was stuck at home. In 1:03 a.m., during a search for new land, the queen discovered a new island. It was located in international waters and was claimed by the queen on her return home. It was named Andromeda's Island. No one was surprised. A common argument between Andromeda and Lovell was his wife's interest in their daughter's life after birth. While the queen loved her daughter dearly, her call to the sea couldn't be helped. She continued to make expensive trips to the Waterfolk kingdom and expeditions to find new land for the kingdom. Andromeda's attitude appeared to be what she wants comes first, and it had been a trait since she was a child. To make it worse, she had doubts about her marriage to Lovell and felt shame that her marriage was crumbling in front of everyone's eyes. Her relationship with him had been secretive due to his social status as a servant, and her family was the only one supportive of it. Now people were publicly more supportive of him than their own queen. For her daughter's 5th birthday, Andromeda stayed home for 2 months. This was one of her longest stayed in the long time. Fea clung to her mother for the majority of her stay, to the point that Lovell would have to pull his daughter from his wife's legs. Andromeda prepared a big birthday party for the princess and invited all of their extended family to visit. Unfortunately, Princess Fea was quite shy and hid for most of the party. Her connections with the kingdom's exploration opened more trade routes in her kingdom and made the Silverquake parts famous. Andromeda's discoveries of ocean life led her to find the first mermaids in butterfly history. Unlike her allies, the waterfolk, that had fish-like qualities, mermaids were specifically half mermaid and half human. They had magic healing abilities, and Andromeda took the chance to swim with them to their cove, where they hoarded the jewels of old ships that had sunk to their watery graves. While she spent most of the royal treasury on herself, the gold she found was shared with her people. Everyone on her ship got a share of any of their finds, and most of them were able to pass the wealth to their families back to the land. Andromeda donated well over $1 million, in today's standards, to the more destitute areas of her kingdom. In 11:16 a.m., Andromeda found herself in the early stages of pregnancy, with her second child, much to her and her Lovell's surprise. This was kept a secret from the rest of the family and written inside of Andromeda's chapter by herself in efforts to hold into her excitement. With the news of her bringing a second child into the world, the couple sat down to have an honest discussion with each other about the state of their marriage. Lovell loved his kids, but he refused to be in his marriage alone any longer. He gave Andromeda an ultimatum. She was to stay home from now on with him and do what she was supposed to do. If not, their marriage would only exist in terms of the law. He would not abandon his duties of king or as a father. The last voyage she would ever make was planned, and this time she would bring her husband along. She wanted to spend her last moments at sea with her husband and daughter. Faye was deathly scared of the ocean and refused to come with and stayed back with her grandmother. At the age of 31 years old, Queen Andromeda Butterfly and King Lovell Fisher were pronounced dead after their ship was found wrecked miles outside of Mewni's ocean territory. The ship had crashed rocks and had broken in half, sinking at the bottom of the ocean. The bodies were never found. Andromeda's last thoughts were how warm she felt holding her husband and daughter in her arms. With the passing of the queen, Princess Phea was next in line for the throne and inherited the crown. Her grandmother Cassiopeia would not stand to watch her rule so young and took over the kingdom for the second time to let her granddaughter grow up. Though the bodies were never found, a funeral was held in their honor and caskets were filled with their favorite items and buried in the royal crypts with the other former queens and kings. Andromeda's last moments. And that was the biography of Andromeda the Intuitive by VerifyTheArts on DeviantArt. Please go check Verify out. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. But for now, goodbye.